Here we have highest expression. This is a very special card for me. This is my mother. This is a picture of her more recently, and then a picture of her as a teenager. And my mother passed away on Christmas Eve. I had made a different card for her where it was a picture of her, like kind of like in prayer hands, and then my grandmother was behind her. And it was a golden ray card, so like calling in this beautiful golden energy. And she saw that card. I made the card, I showed it to her, she loved it. She was like, I can't even say how much I love it. She loved it. She loved being part of the deck. And then she passed away, and I decided to take that card and make it the cover of her funeral book. So that's where that image ended up, of her in prayer hands with my grandmother, is with like angel wings behind my grandmother. So that it felt, I probably made that card about a month before she passed. So it felt a little bit like a energetic preparation, even though I did not know she was going to pass. And I certainly do believe that her mother, my grandmother, my beloved grandmother, who we all adore, was there waiting for her. So that was my mother's original card. Then after she passed and I experienced the grief and all the emotion that came with that, it felt right that she should be on this card, which is the highest expression card. And here's the subtext: holding all beings in their beauty and perfection. So my relationship to my mother was quite complicated. I have a lot of love in my heart for her, and there were a lot of things that I now am starting to understand that were more about who she was versus who I am, that made my childhood a little bit challenging. So my mother was a being in both in her astrology and her human design and just her personality as a whole, a human that needed a lot of excitement, a lot of change, a lot of travel. She worked for the government, so she did travel a lot. She would, after I graduated high school, she started taking like 5-year stints in different countries. And she loved that. She loved that excitement, the newness, the new languages, the new people, all of it. And I am like Virgo, Pisces, Moon, Cancer, rising. Like all I want to do is be home. I want stability. Like I need to know what time lunch is, like that makes me very happy when I know that like lunch is going to be at 12:30. And my mother was someone who would, even as a child, she'd be like, okay, let's go out and like go to the mall. And it's 10 a.m. and at 3, you haven't gotten to the mall yet. You've stopped by her friend's house and you've done 3 errands and maybe you went on some magical adventure, but you haven't had lunch and you haven't gone to the mall yet. So my little Cancer needs to know what's happening would be, quite frazzled by that sometimes. And so that's just one example of where, things could get a little challenging between us and as adults too. And so it's been really important for me. This concept of holding all beings in their highest expression came through my friend Ashley brought this in during a women's circle that we were in. And I've really been practicing this with my mother, holding her in her highest expression, in her beauty and perfection. This idea that we're all beautiful and perfect. We all have a highest expression of our personalities, of our love, of our essence. And sometimes the stories with which I'm looking out at the world and with which the person is coming out with me with, sometimes the stories can get in the way of highest expression. But this card is a reminder that we can make a choice to do it. We can infuse our auric field with this ability to hold all beings in their highest expression. So when someone cuts me off, this is like a simple example. I'm driving, someone cuts me off. Is that person like a son of a bitch that like blah, 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 right? My whole story like doesn't respect me? Or is that person like frazzled or having a hard day or trying to get to like a sick parent? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but am I holding them in the highest expression, or am I creating a story that brings them to their lowest expression? So this is a really special card to me. That's my mama. And I have the picture of her as a teenager below because she has such a sweet smile. And, it's helpful for me to see her as a child, as a teenager, as like not just the adult that was my mother, but to understand that like she had a whole story that was hers that I wasn't a part of, and maybe will never understand. But I don't know if you can see it. If you have the deck, you'll see it. But it's just like the cutest little picture of her. And so we've got both pictures there. And this is in Slovenia where she lived. Yeah, which is a beautiful place. So anyway, highest expression.